surprised me. Why would they recommend Canadian rugby?
Oh, that's it. Oh, whatever shape you did.
If I'm in your seat, just kick me out.
No, I'm not sitting there. Don't worry.
I know that they have the exchanges and stuff.
This year, the show.
Yeah, that's true.
One leg is going to be super tan over another
But
one.
as far as
Half face tan. I think the triangle on my arms go on. I was sitting over like a tree for 2 hours. Just many of them.
The mics are hot.
you're getting a countdown here? Doing the countdown here? 10, 9.
When you guys have to hit the right.
So they would hear from here?
If you're like on the phone or something. Yep.
Okay.
Is it possible to get a table for the floor? Table and a chair.
Chair,
And an umbrella.
You know what? Now table's off. We'll just sit under the table. It's fine.
Get some rocks or something?
Yeah.
Put it up more?
Oh, Scott?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Are these the streaming people? Yes. Okay, I was told to give a list of numbers for my team.
All right.
Actually, you know what? I should give you just the actual list instead of all the other
Go for
things.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Great.
As well. It's all new.
What's that?
It's all new.
Just a lot of heat coming our way. You know?
Yeah.
How's the crowd?
Really good.
Yeah?
It's a really good job.
Yeah?
It's a little far from home, so I got to travel and looking for someone.
Where are you traveling?
So I live in Sackville. I expected to be working on Moncton, but I'm working at the moment is in Rugby. So
Okay.
it's just
The other side.
the other side of Moncton with a lot of traffic. So I basically go 8 to 6, so I'm not on at 6 in the morning and 9 to 7. But I like it. I love what I do.
That's good.
So it's a lot of fun. So, no, that's been going well. How about you? So you have any good outside?
No, I still work in HR on my classification business. No, I do a lot of construction.
And then some days just come big.
A lot of odd jobs. I gutted a house. They did it. Just putting the finishing touches on it.
Okay.
Like to flip it.
That's totally fair.
We do a lot of that. Woody and I like we work together. Decide to hang out a little bit after hours and saves the people some money and do a couple odd jobs so we can master what we want to do.
That's it's funny because I definitely have a few ideas. I know I got to get to a place like I love where I'm at now. My boss is able to imagine, so I know I got to get to the point where I got to fly in on tours. But I definitely have a few jobs. One of my dreams would be like work on tour here. I'm hoping to get to that point, but again, that's like a 5 to 10 year plan for me. And then there's other ideas along those lines that I have recently. Decided to work from during the time as much as I love teaching and getting out of it, so just the transition is different. Mike, it's not good weather for us. It's not our kind of weather. Left work yesterday, gone for the weekend, I'll see you in the morning. Not even kind of worried about it till Monday morning.
Love it. That's great. It's good being rewarded, right?
That's That's one thing we just can't do, TJ. No, it's all going
Right
right
now,
Yeah, the summer's off was nice, but I'm also just kind of on I'm very okay with how things are. I'll put it that way.
it's great. Plus, you know something, you get your own place, something that needs to get fixed, you fix it.
That's exactly it.
Do it.
We got about 5 things lined up and hoping to get it done by the summer. I want to tear down the front porch and put something a little different. I want to build a gazebo before winter. We just got a cheap, just got a little above ground pool that's now like a fancy one, but lasts 5 years or so. And we're having fun with it. And then, something like that if we want to do. I'm even thinking about pouring some concrete and try to make some rock.
And live on the grounds of King's Edge Hill School here in beautiful Windsor, Nova Scotia, this is the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships here on Maritime Athletic Profiles. As I say, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dan Hobson. Delighted to here with the call, and also joining us here is Matt Melanson, who is with Rugby Nova Scotia. Matt, thanks for joining us here for the call. And I guess you could say right off the bat that the weather is going to be a little bit of a factor. So when you're defending in rugby, it takes a lot more out of you. So if you have ball possession, you're not really having to worry a lot of defense. Your thoughts here on Team Nova Scotia U19 versus Team Nova Scotia U18?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the standard here for these two teams is going to be quite high, and you're spot on. If you can hang on to the ball and string the phases together and wear down a defense in the heat, it's going to play to your favor for sure.
Yeah, the heat warning in effect here for pretty much most of the province of Nova Scotia. Weather today, mix of sun and cloud. Right now, it is a temperature of 25 degrees. And when I say that, everybody's looking at me as like it doesn't feel like it, because the feel like temperature is 32. So that makes it a little bit hard. Possibility of some showers maybe coming into the area with maybe a little bit of thunder. The probability increases from 30% this afternoon to 60. So I was talking to some of the girls here before this matchup with starting off a championship with Nova Scotia U18 and a U19. So it's not starting off against a team that you don't know, so they kind of know each other. So this should be an interesting matchup here for Team Nova Scotia. And if everybody likes to place a bet, they're hoping for Nova Scotia. We're betting a bet on Nova Scotia.
I think that's the smart money. Yeah, these are two teams that know each other well, and they come up through the age brackets, and every other year they get matched up like this. So, yeah, they've played against each other a lot. They've trained with each other a lot.
U18, they'll be in the blue. It'll be Feeney, Black, Phillips, Cavani, McPherson, Smolders, DeRozier, Willis, Glasgow, Van Berkel, Gunn, Gowdry, Demings, Hooper, Dixon, Shaw, and Hellier for them. For the U18, Elko, McDonald, Mason, Lovelace, Ikui, Robinson, Dewey, Reed, Raymond, Hilton, Provo, Gallagher, Shearer, Aceron, and Chisholm. This 15 for them. The U18 will be in the grays. As I said, the U18 in the blues. Referee is Dawson Legier. He's getting his hands out, so we're just about ready here to kick it off. It will be the U18 that will kick this thing off and set over. First touch here. And a nice little bounce there by Shaw.
And Fran Asseron recovered that. A very athletic play.
Yeah, looking for a quick strike here. McPherson over to McCaveny. And we have our first whistle. So some of these girls, it's not their first time playing here at Atlantic Championships, so nerves can't be that much of a factor.
Yeah, quite experienced by the time they get to, especially that U19 team. All players coming off their first year of AUS. So it's a fairly high standard as well. So, yeah, a lot of pressure-tested players here. Charlotte Hilton, my niece, the 10 in blue, has done some international duty. Lots of players here been to international camps and national championships before. So.
First scrum of the championships, first scrum of the afternoon. It'll be U19 that will So they'll swing to the outside.
That's well held there to get that off the shoe straps.
So far we said about off the top about it being a possession, one of the games where you have to be careful of ball possession with this warm weather. Nova Scotia Blue, they're threatening here. Almost into the try zone. Alco.
Over to Sophia.
Roger. They're getting closer, getting closer. Definitely has a little bit of numbers to the outside. Phillips. They're getting closer and closer to the try line. But it's going to be Team Nova Scotia Grey that will come up with it. They're right along that sideline.
Yeah, so that's Charlotte Hilton there off the turnover. Sneaks in for a score for the U19s.
And it's not quite much of a surprise having a fantastic season she is having. As we take a look there.
Yeah, and as you say, sustained pressure. They win the penalty on the far side, don't give up possession, bang away with a few carries, and yeah, keep putting pressure on a team like this down around the goal line. Enough hard, strong carriers in that team.
And now having a chance to convert it, so she got the try 5, looking for the extra 2 here. And line drive kick that will just get over the bar and through, so 7-0, so good start for them. As I said about the weather, there's no real crosswind, so some of these conversions from the outside may not be as hard as they have been in the past, where some of the championships have had wind to affect them here.
Yeah, she didn't get it any higher than she needed to, but it only has to go over the bar, so.
So getting ready for the restart here. Also, we have 45-minute game here for this first one, so looking at about 22 and a half, 23 minutes. Of course, referee will also control that one as Loveless has a little bit of difficulty there as a whistle stops play. Second scrum of the afternoon.
First scrum looks solid for Grey. They're able to get the ball out cleanly. You'd think, just on age, you'd give an advantage to the older players.
You brought up a very good question here. It's like you have a U18 versus a U19 team. So when you think about experience and veterans and things like that, when it comes to the scrums, who do you think it would be? Definitely would favor the U19s, but don't underestimate the U18s. It's pretty much the scenario.
That's it. Brooke Alco and Amelia Mason are strong scrummagers, and but Sierra and Stella are also well equipped. So.
So far in this. So you're used to seeing like some of the rugbies where you have a chance to look at the clock. So how does clock management handle when you're in a championship like this, but you've got no clock? How do players do it?
I mean, they've got to check in with the referee. You get sort of a sense. And then, I mean, the other thing that comes into play is in the short games, the kicks are so valuable, the converts are so valuable, and the teams opt to kick points on penalties just because you can put a team in a deficit quick, and it's hard to recover.
Van Berkel will start this off. So Willis Glasgow on the outside for that stop. Nova Scotia U18 looking pretty good here. Trying to get something going. That's Phillips.
Yeah, strong carry, but Brooke Alco over the ball. Brooke Alco's come away with a turnover there.
Brooke Alco looks a lot familiar to her. You probably seen her at some high school and probably even university level. So, and probably also seen her at the championship level as well for some Rugby Nova Scotia events.
Yeah, local Horton grad. Led Horton to a provincial championship her grade 12 year, and now she's with us at Acadia.
And that was no small stature there for Horton winning that championship, because Kings Edgehill, where we're at right now, was 2-time provincial champions, going for a three-peat last year, and Horton was just like good from day one and continued that all the way to a provincial championship. Back coming, Back comes Team Nova Scotia. They have something brewing here with Samantha Reed. Brought down. Back they come up to the middle with Lovelace. Got support numbers to the side. McDonald there trying to get close to that try line there, trying to increase this lead for them. Penalized 10, and
so we're back to the advantage there. Dawson was happy with that turnover by Sophia, but back to the original infraction.
Hilton going again, getting real close. Is it going to be rewarded there by Legier? Yes, it is. Try 5 there, second one for Charlotte Hilton. Well, we said about the top about ball possession, and right now, so far, Hilton's
team that's hanging on to the ball.
They're really putting a lot of pressure here on the U18 so far.
Yeah.
And with this weather, as I said, that is going to be probably one of the factors. So we'll see what Hilton can do if she could chip it from the far side this time. Successful on her first.
Should be the easier way to make it for the in-swing of the kick. The flags stay down.
I'll keep it at a 12-point game. So, of course, you're involved with Rugby Nova Scotia, so you probably know at our coaching staff you've come out here, you've given up 12 points quickly. What's going through a coach's mind, and what do you do to get your athletes, I guess, to maybe forget about that sluggish start?
I mean, the good thing about giving up a few early is you've got, 75% of the game left. You can really still tell yourself they scored their 2 fairly quickly. You score your 2 fairly quickly, and that's still you could be tied before the half even comes around. And they haven't held on to the ball.
And it just, as we talked about, 45-minute game, so you're looking at 20-minute halves, and just like that, we're almost approaching near the halfway point.
So it'll be a line out to blue there. Kick landed infield and then went out.
A lot of times, you'll see, the restarts, it's kind of really hard to get it past, the 10 mark. So to get a line out was pretty good and successful here for the team in gray.
Yeah, and the coaches were yelling, let's go get it, Brownie. They expected to be able to compete for it, but they didn't get up quick enough.
Once again, pressure here. Hilton will set it upfield. Smooth catch there by Hiller.
Fantastic athlete. Didn't really look nervous under that catch, and she was ready to counterattack.
Gravati. Gun. Not the cleanest of passes there for the Citadel grad, Deja Hooper-Dixon.
Well, we're coming back for offside there.
A tap and go looks like here for Gunn and the U18s. The line out, successful that time. With lots of plenty of yards to spare as we coming into the 11th minute.
Well, yeah, traditionally a line out a very good attacking platform. The defense is set back so far that you really get a chance to run sort of your most intricate moves without the pressure in your face. If they could get a clean win off the top here.
And very important here. Really, when you think of it, this is a very important possession here for the U18s because they trail by 12. They don't really want to let the U19s get too far in front of them. It's really important maybe to try to get some points here out of this possession. They're along that far side. They'll swing over. Block. Van Berkel looking for some help. Final comes, but Elko right there in the kitchen there of the U18s.
She likes to counter ruck. Brooke Elko should take her chance to get a shot in.
They'll swing to the outside. Quick pass is Shearer. Or pardon me, Deja Hooper Dixon, my apologies. Feeney runs into a wall. They're going to swing it to the outside, and good little pass it here by the U18s. Stop near midfield. They reverse direction. They were thinking one way, got to go the other, but now they're going to bring it back here to the near side. Black.
They might have kept their eye on, we call it the fold, how the defense is getting around the breakdown there. I think they maybe had a favorable matchup.
Brown, Naisha Willis, Glasgow. And she's brought down. Steal there by Grace Robinson. And whistle stops play. A penalty. See if it's a tap and go, but we have our first little injury of the championship so far.
Looks to be dusting herself off. Tackle was just a little high there, but Dawson had it.
As we take a look at some of the action so far that we've seen in this first half. And you see that is not really much wind, so there really isn't any way for the players to get cool as we are just about ready to restart this here.
They've opted for a scrum here. I think options growing in popularity right from the middle of the field. Sometimes those kicks for touch don't get you much distance. And especially after an injury, the option to go quick is sort of taken away. So set yourself up, split the backfield like this for Team Blue. They've got options all over the place. Let's see what they go for.
They're into the 14th minute.
Oh, and they've turned over. Gray's won that against the head.
Well, it's Glasgow. Best run of the afternoon there for the U18s. Back to the outside gun. Oh, Gondon brought down and brought down heavily. A little bit too hard of a pass there for Black to handle, so she's called for the knock on. That's what's one of the things about this is that we've seen in the past, or I've seen in the past, where a team that has sort of are trailing in a matchup, they're trying to get some momentum, and they've just had like a good rush there by Willis Glasgow and thinking, well, they're building something, and then all of a sudden, the ever infamous knock on.
Yeah, they're certainly not great as you're trying to build momentum, and yeah, you're trying to get all those points back at once, but people drop the ball. You don't want to attribute too much to it, but yeah, hands are sweaty, and a little bit of still. These teams train together a lot, but these are sort of their first games since last Atlantics. Really, they play a few exhibitions to get ready for these tournaments.
Well, we've talked about the weather and haven't had a chance to maybe say about the hands that it can make it very difficult to handle the ball, and also the turf is also very hard as well. Like it's a rubbery surface, but very warm. So the conditions are very difficult for sure.
Amelia dragged people for a few good steps there.
Dewey.
That was a nice slick pass from Dewey, and Rowan and Charlotte connected.
Tess Raymond kicked up.
It's a great place for a kick to end up for an attacking team, but as I say, Maggie's a great athlete, and that's almost all the distance already returned.
Yeah, Hellier there pretty much took it right down and brought it almost right back where it came from as the U18s will swing it into the middle. And now back to the outside, Feeney. Feeney brought down, but gets it right to Phillips' chest in time. And now the U18s will take a play out of the playbook. Chisholm. Called for the knock on.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to apply with that kick. It's rolling back towards the touchline.
Anytime you've got like the bouncing ball, it's like it's almost like this has 50-50 of what it's going to do, whether you're going to get a friendly bounce or an unfriendly bounce, and that was the case that time.
Certainly.
So very important scrum here as we're into the 17th minute.
Yeah, as you say that U18s would love to come away with some points for their efforts. It trips down, haven't many trips deep inside the 22. I think this is probably their best attacking platform, their closest one yet.
Burkle to start this. Willis Glasgow. She had a really good rush earlier in the game. Penalty here to the U18s. The U19s set it up here for potential line out. Hilton easily out.
I can be pickier on Charlotte because she's my niece. You'd like a little bit more distance off that.
That's usually the way. Like I've worked with some color commentators that have had like family members that have been playing at sports championships and things like that, and they seem to be a little bit easier on the family members than than the non-family members. So,
well, anybody else you'd have to worry about what a parent would think or anything, but that's a brother and sister-in-law, so.
At the U19s have really put that scoring potential for the U18s away. They're bringing it up the field.
It's great work by Stella there to get that turnover.
Yeah, they're trying to come up with it. U18s outside. Willis Glasgow had it. She's looked like to be one of having a great effort so far, but nothing really to generate in terms of points as we're into the 19th minute.
Certainly one to watch. Fantastic player.
Dimmings.
Oh, little kick in.
Try to chase it down. Whistle blown.
Happy to take a little bit more of a speculative kick there, knowing they were on penalty advantage.
But you gotta like this young team here that they've sort of like gave up 12 quick ones and
they really have settled in.
Really settled in and now starting to get something going. They've had it wasn't like the first 10 minutes of this game. It was heavily the Blues and heavily possession. So now they're sort of putting a little bit of pressure on, and this is sort of, as I said before, is that really the importance of ball possession when you're in this heat wave of a championship.
Yeah, and when the time can just evaporate on you like this, we're nearing the end of the half.
Seems like there's always like a heat wave with these championships. I remember a few years, this is like a long way back, they were at the Truro Stage Rugby Club, and it had the similar sort of warm conditions.
Yeah, it's always the way at these tournaments. Oh.
Willis Glasgow. Thought she was off to the races to the outside. Smolders tried to stiff arm and push her way. Getting close to try zone time here for the U18s. Into the middle there, DeRozier. Tackled as she was trying to bring it to the middle. Back outside, Gunn. Quickly to Black.
Sophia's a great at those support lines. Always seems to pop up, be an option for somebody to offload to. Great game understanding.
quick tap and go there for Brown. Brownie Nisha Willis Glasgow. Trying to take advantage of the U19 penalty. Inside
Sierra.
Phillips. Very important here as we are into the 21st minute, so we're getting into the late stages here of this first half. Feeney.
I mean, this is just
Runs
the
into
sort
a
of thing
wall.
where Blue was able to score, so Gray's going to look to maintain their possession.
Gun, bouncing
Commentator's
ball,
curse.
and an unfortunate turnover, and brought down by the shirt there, and play stopped. But I think they'll take that every time because that could have been all the way there for Dewey and the U19s. She had a lot of open real estate, so.
Yeah, so the ball went to ground there, but Blue knocked it on the gather, so Gray get a second chance here. Great attacking platform again in this close. Got the option to split the backfield and really put some pressure on both sides. Brownisha was able to give you a bit of go forward, almost guaranteed with their speed off the back. See if they play with that.
Dawson Legier, the referee, not happy with the lineup, so they'll reset this. So we're into extra time here in this first half between the Nova Scotia U19 and Nova Scotia U18, with the U19s up by 12.
Yeah,
That's the
strong
U18s.
platform.
Yeah, they've got.
Great work.
They had like the numbers to the outside, but the pass was unable to connect. Back in the middle, Black. Black brought down.
Dawson's got the for
Yep.
not releasing.
There is the
Brownisha
tap and
goes
go.
quick.
Willis Glasgow. After what was not really a great start, this has really changed here as DeRoche is trying to get close to that try line here to try to get a try 5 for the U18s. Phillips back outside. Oh, they lost the handle there.
Oh,
Was
he's coming
DeRoche.
back.
So the U18s have had a really solid 6 or 7 minutes here of this first half, and they're threatening here. Phillips, did you get it?
Grounding.
Legier
The
looking
referees are
around.
talking. Nope.
Not granted yet. And finally, will award the try here to the U18s.
Yeah, you're right. what a
12-5.
Fantastic. Yeah, 7 or 8 minute stretch there. String their possession together. Sierra goes for the first one. Knows she's short. Is able to recycle. That's mature work.
And it was good positioning there by Dawson Legier. Kept wanting to look around, moving around, making sure. So conversion tip here by Ava Demings here to bring it down to a 5-point game. Bit almost like what you'd have to say is a tale of two halves. The U19's out with a very strong 10 minutes, and then last 6 or 7 the U18. So if this is any indication of what the second half will be, we should be in for a dandy of a finish.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to make it too obvious, but it is, when the team can maintain possession and keep applying pressure like this and wear the defense down.
And a chip shot easily down Main Street here by Demings. Pretty much the ball was set right down the middle. And we had the quick blows there from the referee's whistle. Dawson Legier to indicate that we are at halftime here of the first of the U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships. And the U19s have a 5-point lead over the U18s. And we'll be back with more here from Windsor in just a couple of moments here on Maritime Athletic Profiles. And welcome back to King's Edge Hill School here in Windsor, Nova Scotia. This is the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships of Maritime Athletic Profiles. Dan Hobson alongside Matt Melanson. And it was almost like a very tale of two different halves in that half, because the first half, U19 dominated, got 12 points. They looked to be taking control of this game. But what a bounce back there for the U18s, and get a try late there in that first half. A very important try for them to get them back into the game. So basically, for those that maybe just joined us, give us a little synopsis of what you saw in the first half.
Yeah, I think for those U18s, they're all fantastic players, and they all know that I think that of them. But you felt maybe in the first few minutes just a adjustment to the pace, adjustment to the physicality. The U19s you can tell we're carrying hard, we're tackling hard, and but I think once the U18s settled into that, as they maintained their phases and built their pressure, they're starting to see some rewards for their work, and that's going to be huge for their momentum to come away in those last few minutes with a score and feel like they're right back into it. Oh, almost a very athletic play there.
Looking to try to get David broken there for U18, so looks to be there was a few substitutions here, and really, when you think of it, not really a surprise to see substitutions. As you say, it's a very warm day. We've talked about that, mentioned that, but to basically also realize that this is a marathon, not just a sprint. So if you want to, rest players to try to have them fresh throughout the days, upcoming days, that's always important too.
Yeah, exactly. And these are, showcase games. These are highlight teams, and they're really not weak links on there. So when you start making these subs, you're bringing on quality players.
Hilton, who's got 2 tries here already, sends that down to pitch. A bouncing ball picked up on the bounce there by the U18s. A good sprint past midfield. And going to be a penalty. So see if the tap and go, just like that. Quick momentum here. Swung to the outside. Into the middle. Hooper Dixon. Back out. Willis Glasgow. Had a very good first half as U18's pressing again. Phillips. Had to do a little bit of a hop before she went down. Gunn. Runs into a big blue wall. Oh, like quickly, and maybe a little bit of a more penalty once again here to
got blue players on the ground, not rolling away before the players on their feet go for the turnovers. The culprit there.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty, almost like right there in the kitchen just before the ball even dropped. So that was the result of the penalty as Phillips gets to the outside, looking for a little bit of support. Quick pass, Shaw. Deja Hooper Dixon. And Van Berkel had a little bit of difficulty with that one. And Deja Hooper Dixon still down there for the U18s. Also, he ran some track and field, Deja Hooper Dixon, as well as part of the Citadel soccer team. A volleyball team, if I stand to be correct.
I don't know about any others. I know she played a bit of football as well. That was her claim to fame for a moment.
Yeah. And getting some attention here from the staff from Nova Scotia on both sides. And this could be a huge one here, huge loss here for the U18s, because she has got some speed. When you're involved in track and field, you know that you've got speed, and she is very quick. So she gets to the outside. Sometimes that, she was off to the races.
Yeah,
and
strong footwork and usually a good stiff arm from Deja.
Yeah,
coming into her own. Good a time as any to thank some sponsors. Rob Parker from Gary Parker Excavating, King's Edge Hill here as our host and sponsor. Blue Nose Rugby are organizing partners and sponsors as well. That really some generous contributions. Molson helping to keep the product on field, offer as much to all the players here as we can. And thank you to all those municipality of West Hants. Yeah.
Yeah, so many business community that helps, keep the amateur athletics going throughout all the provinces right across this country of ours. So.
Yeah, and the standards are getting higher and higher at this event, and that's great, but it means that there's more and more things we have to provide. Yeah, thanks to all those sponsors, Party Ice, providing the ice for all the ice baths, players. There's no Alice Dewey at the same time getting checked on and coming off. Alice coming off a long-term injury, so hopefully it's okay.
Yeah, we were sort of falling into place, so we're not too sure where that came, but she is favoring her neck, so this is where, sometimes you come in fully 100% healthy, and then by the time that you're ready for the hardware to be handed out, all of a sudden teams are banged up. So it's, as I said, it's not just a sprint. It is pretty much a marathon as we're set to get a scrum underway here. Tess Raymond with the inbound here for the U19s. Off to a strong start, as we mentioned. So I have to make, and it was done unfairly, so I'll regroup or see what the U18s decide here. So we will regroup.
So there's some of the substitutions we can see here. There's Georgia Rain-Kane in at prop, which is taking Kate McDonald, the hooker, off, and Brooke Alco appears to have moved to hooker. So it's a very strong front row for the U19s now. See if they can exert some pressure.
So this is where there may be advantage to them, and just like that, as you mentioned, and way up the middle, Gallagher had a good burst of speed. Swings outside, Loveless. Hardy brought down near midfield. Back outside, Hilton. Believe that was Hardy once again. Had a little bit of real estate open up on her. Mason. Brought down right exactly at the midfield. Hilton. Alco had it momentarily. Swing outside on a nice pass to Shearer. Shearer actually was dragging Shaw with her. Reed.
Yeah, Sam
trying
Reed
to cut to the middle. Sorry?
No, Sam Reed, a dual sport athlete. She played basketball and rugby at Acadia this year. All over the place, very fit, very fast. So to chase that play, be there for the next carry. That was some very attractive rugby played by Blue there to hit wide off Charlotte, still play to a second layer there.
Coming up to the 28th minute.
Both teams seem to have settled in here a little bit more this half.
Yeah, it looked too early that it was going to be U19's off to the races, but it was not to be, really.
It's every move that Maggie Hellier makes seems to be just so violent. Stepping hard, she's aggressive in her cuts.
Actually, U18s were dragging some U19 tacklers there just a few seconds ago. DeRoger, so.
That was a strong carry by Caleb. Looks like it was knocked on there somewhere in the process.
If there's anything that's sort of saving grace right now is we have some clouds, so the sun is not beating down, so it feels definitely a lot cooler, so definitely better than probably trying to play in the sun and the heat as there's clouds moving into here to the winter area. So
certainly
make it a lot easier for everyone. Not the greatest of passes there for the U18, but it's picked up practically off the turf. And how'd that pass get away? I'm not too sure, but it's working out here. Gabby Shaw in the middle. U18's taking it into the middle. I'll keeping it once again to the middle is Van Berkel. And she's brought down easily. So back to the outside. Quick passes. Phillips had it momentarily, so it's running around like a hot potato right now for the U18. So the passing must be something that is somebody with Rugby Nova Scotia must be pretty happy with.
Yeah, the skill level certainly very high. It was two very strong athletes collided there on the far wing. Yeah, the impacts are big.
As called for the knock on there was Willis Glasgow. They have injury along that far sideline. And also coming in is Marley Laviolette for Lucy Spurns, probably apologies. Coming in for U19. Scrum coming up here. We're into the 30th minute, coming up to minute number 31 here. So if you're just joining us, play about 45-minute games. So the first half, so we're looking at 22, 23 minutes halves plus injury time. So when you look at it, 45 minutes compared to like, that's a lot of time. There's not a lot of time for adjustments. There's not a lot of time really to make mistakes in games either when you play 45-minute games.
Certainly, yeah. Few points here and there, a kick made or missed. Yeah, it really cuts the game down to not a lot of fat in a 45-minute game. You want to be accurate.
U19s have a little bit of a size advantage here. See if they can use it on the scrum. They can as the U18s come up, and they're going to kick it upfield. Maybe not the strongest of kicks. Almost a collision there between a couple of players, but it's
Fran very
going to
confident
be
under the high ball. So
Acer on, yeah.
Again, almost the whole kick distance returned.
And we've seen that a lot already. Hilton will chip and try to go up after it, but it's U18's gathered. Brought down there by the collar of the shirt. And back upfield it goes again. Takes the U18 friendly bounce, but right into the hands there of Chisholm. Chisholm brought down. What a chance here for Rowan Gallagher. Gallagher will touch it down in the middle. Try 5 for U19 Nova Scotia.
Yeah, Rowan's got some fantastic, really world-class feet. So when she catches there, you can tell she's already about to put the hesitation on and just look for the bit of a lean in the defense, and she steps off that inside.
There it is, and then of course making sure to make the conversion a lot easier here for Hilton, and she could be basically a chip shot right down Main Street for her. Very intelligent rugby IQ there for Gallagher's.
Yeah, Rowan's been in all the academy programs and high performance programs, and had a stellar AUS Rookie of the Year season for UPEI. So certainly one of the strong leading players on this team.
Hilton, as I said, this should be automatic, but these days there's no such thing as automatic. No wind right now going from side to side, so wind's not a factor for Hilton on this one.
And again, she's committed to not kicking it any more than she has to.
Yeah. Not putting it in the air or risk it, all of a sudden.
Give her any bonus points for any extra
just
height.
Basically just getting like line drive, get it just above the bar.
Yep.
It makes it 17-7, so U18s have a little bit of work cut out for them here. 19-7, pardon me, so.
And that's helpful. A 10 is a converted try, and a penalty puts it right back in it, so if only up 10. The team can make up 10 points in a hurry, but 12 is a little bit trickier. You need the 2 tries.
They'll have right around 10 minutes to do it as the restart is underway. Picked up there.
Yeah,
by Shearer,
Shearer's
close to
strong
the
player.
22.
Athletic pickup, and it dragged everybody for a while.
Reed had a strong drive here earlier in the game.
Sierra's gone for a big carry.
Oh, there was a big
Oh.
stiff arm there. U18 say, get out of my way. Laviolette. This U18, they're just like, you got to really like this resiliency of the U18 as well as Glasgow. Willis Glasgow short of trying to be brought down by the bottom of her T-shirt. And this time will be a penalty to the U18, so it's going to be U19 here.
Yeah, able to clear their lines here, relieve some pressure. I mean, just a fingertip holding on to Brownisha's jersey there is all that I think saved a try. If she was able to break free in that first gap, it's going to be hard to stop.
Line out successful here. McClare will check in, wearing number 19 here for the U18s.
That's Sierra coming out.
Let's see, our Phillips had some solid minutes, so coach staff must be really impressed with how well she has kind of played. Maybe hasn't been rewarded on the scoreboard, but you know, definitely a solid game for her. They were trying to anticipate and came up all right with it.
That was a great catch by Georgia Ray. I'm always impressed whenever I get to see her play. She's made a few big tackles already this game, and that was a very athletic catch.
Hilton. And that will be into touch.
Yeah. In and then out, so perfectly weighted from Charlotte to gain the territory. They'll give away possession, but they'll be happy with the possession trade-off there. It's Jemiah checking in for
Jemiah Burrow, number 22.
And so again, not a one-for-one swap. The wingers come on for the scrum half. Ronacia plays wing and scrum half, so she's moving in, and Tessa Raymond calls time there.
This is a big line out. U18s get it. Trailing by 12. And time, as you see in the corner, starting to run out on them. With less than 6 to go, and then injury time.
Really find myself impressed with the quality of tackling. I mean, both teams not seeing too many broken tackles and big long line breaks like you might in a high school game or a club game.
Well, this has been a very competitive matchup. Like we said off the top about the weather conditions, how ball possession is going to be really important. It sort of has been 50-50. It hasn't been lopsided, so, and it's made for a better game all around.
Yeah, I mean, both teams will feel like they go back under the hood and work on a few things, and neither one will feel out of the competition or out of even this specific matchup. Let's say within around 2 tries, you can always convince yourself that you could get 1 or 2 more, prevent 1 or 2 more, and if you're inside that 15-20 point range, you feel good.
Line out successful for the U18s, so it will come exactly right around the midfield stripe. So we're into the 38th minute, as I mentioned.
I mean, sounds almost like a silly thing to say, but yeah, Gray would have loved to come away with some points when they were down there knocking on the door, because by the time you score and kick.
Reed to Rain Kane. Loveless. Hilton. He's got 2 already, looking for a 3rd. Maybe trying to put the final nail in the coffin here of the victory here for the U19s. Whistle stops play.
Had just a knock on there.
We've seen some matchups or some games at championships in the past where we've seen a lot of scrums. This hasn't been a lot so far. This one, there's about an average around.
Yeah, and I think just as we say, I mean the standard is skill, kind of in all aspects, keeps going up and up. The kicking, you're seeing the tactical kicking executed at a high level. They're being fielded fairly well.
Glasgow unable to break that corner. If she did, she could have been off to the races, but couldn't. U18's there trying to, with Dewey trying to use her stiff arm and knock on, so, and a penalty, so it could be 10 yards, and now an extra whistle here from Dawson Legier, and nobody has got a yellow card. Nobody's been in the sin bin, so it's a relatively clean game. And as soon as I say that, I'm gonna, give it the announcer's jinx.
I think that was a warning for offside. I mean, as you're starting to get tired, retreating back in defenses gets harder and harder. So that's Eviana coming in for Brownie. Almost no substitution so far. This game has been 1 for 1. They put on a front row, pushed one of their front row to the back row.
Yeah, Eviana Pelicost checks in here for U18. Coming up to the 41st minute. So 4 or maybe extra time and change left here in this one. Good passing to the outside. Oh, they had lots of open real estate, but they were unable to hit David as the pass was too far out of her reach. But she had some room to go, room to bring it up. But
that first pass from Sydney Thompson was very slick. Seemed to be right on time, right on the money. And she's had a few nice passes and kicks, kind of no big involvements, but seemingly kind of skill executed well when it's needed to be. And that's Amelia Mason, coming back out for Kate McDonald to move back in. I think that's sort of the multiple hybrid front row people that can play across positions.
Provo to bring this into the scrub here for the U19s, who are up, as you see, by 12. Maybe looking. Ball was on the ground momentarily. Just shy of the try line. They got to be rewarded for it. Whistle stops play. Penalty to the U19s. So
Charlotte tried to create a little bit of chaos, but I don't know, play on the ground or playing somebody off the ball. It's hard to see in that far corner, but really you'd say almost no bad outcome to that except committing a penalty. So if you can put a ball in the corner like that, make somebody carry it into touch, carry it back into their own in goal, you could recover it. There's lots. That's
Reagan and Fit to come in for U18. So both teams sort of maybe cleared the bench a little bit here, giving everybody some playing time. Time, as we say, the factor. Line out not to the liking there of Dawson Legier.
But I think in general, it may have been our first not straight line out. I was also going to commend both teams that, doing some interesting line out options. The throws seem to be accurate enough to play off the top. But
pace all right here for the U19s.
Yeah, clock's in their favor. A few more scrums, a few more kicks into the corner. We'll see what Charlotte goes for here.
Hilton over to Gallagher, who's got to try. Ooh, the nice little back pocket pass. Aceron. Maybe try to.
Abby Chisholm, the intended target, but it spilled backwards and Fran jumped on it. Knocked on the tackle there.
On.
If they can get themselves organized, get the scrum in and out, they may keep trying to play, looking for their 4th try bonus point. But
get it close to the end of regulation. I have to keep an eye on Mr. Dawson Legier to see what he puts on here for extra time, as we have had a couple of injuries here in this second half. Clock, as you see, continuing to tick away. Hilton, 2 on 3 on the outside, doesn't have the number, so she's brought down there by a couple of U18 tacklers. As you hear the 3 whistles blow there by Dawson Legier, Nova Scotia U19s. They got off to a strong start, looked to be off to the races, but the U18s bounced back and gave them their money's worth. But U19s came away with the victory here in this all Nova Scotia battle. So, Matt Melanson, your final thoughts here on this one here?
yeah, just a really high standard. Happy with the skill on both teams, the tackling, the passing, the kick. So it was, if this is the standard for the rest of the tournament, I think we're in for an exciting weekend.
All right, so thank you. We'll be talking to you in just a couple of bit. And when we return, we're going to have Charlotte Hilton, who had a couple of tries here in this one, as their team came away with the victory. We'll be back here from Windsor in just a couple of moments here on Maritime Athletic Profiles. Here with Charlotte Hilton, she had a couple of tries here in this one. You guys got off to a really good start, but the U18s bounced back. But congratulations on your win and your thoughts.
Thank you so much. Yeah, they're a great team. A lot of my best friends play on that team, and it's always a fun time playing against them. I'm just happy that our team was able to work hard and really play as a team and just overall come out with the win. But they had a really great game as well, and they're awesome.
Yeah, you were. Of course, you were basically, as you say, you got off to that good start, that 2 tries. So,
yeah.
I mean, basically you're now 1-0. So this basically couldn't really go. Was it the perfect game for you guys?
Honestly, we had a couple penalties and we weren't being as disciplined as we would like, but we really improved it. And honestly, with that start, it just kept the momentum, and I think we can really build and grow on this game as well.
Well, I'll let you go with your team. Thank you. Best of luck rest of the way.
Thank you.
She had for this one, allowed the U19s to come away with the victory over the U18s here at the 2025 U19 Atlantic Rugby Championship. So, for my broadcast colleague Matt Melanson and the entire Maritime Athletic Profiles crew, my name is Dan Hobson. Thank you for tuning in, and so long from Windsor.